Hello and hey, turn us around with Baldur's Gate 3. So you want to be a paladin, you goodly little oath taker. Somebody's not afraid of commitment. Alright, let's dive in. Paladins are the guardians against the forces of wickedness, with most of their forever oaths leading them down the path of charity and justice. I find it a bit hard to relate to that kind of commitment myself. I'm not even locked into what I'm eating for my next meal, thinking turkey sandwich for what it's worth. In Baldur's Gate 3, there are a total of 4 playable oaths, getting your choice at level 1, meaning this is already the part of the video where I'm obligated to disclaim that while Baldur's Gate 3 is based off D&D 5e, we cannot confirm just yet how subclass features will be implemented into the video game. Devotion, Ancients, and Oathbreaker subclasses are already in the game, so we can speak confidently up to level 5, but just to repeat from here on out, there is a margin of error, so we're just trying to keep that low. Back to it. In previous editions of D&D, Paladins were oft-maligned for being the alignment lawful stupid. This is attributed more towards players, but was sort of backed up by the rules. Even with 5e opening the cracks a little bit more, a computer dungeon master, like what we have in BG3, will likely close some of those back up. That is to say, you won't have the wiggle room to play with that a human DM would mostly allow. If you trigger something that is coded to break your oath, it's broken. Now, not forever, you will be able to earn your way back, but while broken, you won't have access to these subclass-specific features. It's not the biggest deal, but balancing your actions from moment to moment could be a bigger deal than normal, and might turn some off the class, especially if it happens at just the wrong time. I think that's worth noting. Getting back to the oaths, you have your choice of Devotion, Ancients, or Vengeance. You have to earn Oathbreaker, and I'll leave it at that. Devotion is the goodliest of all oaths, literal knights in shining armor. Their tenets include honesty, courage, compassion, honor, duty. And yes, it really ends compassion, honor, duty. I must repeat, I hardly know her. Ancients are more in touch with living and growing things, their tenets including kindle the light, shelter the light, preserve your own light, and be the light. Really much of the same as Devotion, but a little bit as though you added the word man to the end of each. Be the light, man. The Vengeance Oath is where a paladin begins to lose a bit of their good morality that the other two clearly exude. Their tenets including fight the greater evil, no mercy for the wicked, by any means necessary, and restitution. It does exactly what it says on the tin, vengeance. And lastly, Oathbreaker is for those that have cast their original promise aside and accepted the consequences. They are evil by flavor text, however many players in tabletop do not play them that way precisely. Not just something to kind of brush aside for the mechanics of how good it is, more just like a Vengeance Paladin turned up to 10. More neutral than evil, but still doing some things by any means necessary. Because we get the oaths at first level, we also get some abilities associated with them early. Devotion gets Holy Rebuke, where for an action can make an ally deal 1d4 radiant damage to anyone who hits them with a melee attack. Ancients get the ridiculously strong Healing Radiance, which for a bonus action heals allies within 10 feet for your level times your charisma modifier, both when you use it and then again at the start of your next turn. So good. Oathbreaker gets Spiteful Suffering, which for an action places a debuff on an enemy that fails a charisma save that deals 1d4 plus charisma necrotic damage per turn, and grants advantage to attack rolls from all allies against it for 3 turns. Super strong again. And then we don't know what Vengeance is getting. I don't even want to speculate because of how much the Devotion and Ancients changed in the transition to Baldur's Gate. Also at level 1, that's right, still not done with level 1, we get a couple features from the base class. Divine Sense, which in Baldur's Gate is a bonus action that grants you advantage against Celestials, Fiends, and Undead for 2 turns. And Lay on Hands, which is going to need some explaining. Lay on Hands takes the form of charges. You start with 3 charges at level 1 and gain a 4th charge at level 4. We don't know how increases will work beyond that. You can think of Lay on Hands as the maximum healing per turn you can do is 4 hit points per paladin level, but not like 4 hit points per charge. It does not work that way. So as an action, you can spend either 1 charge to heal half of that 4 times HP number, or that full number with 2 charges. I'll do a couple examples so it's more clear. Let's say we have a level 4 paladin. The maximum healing with Lay on Hands we can do in a turn is 16. That's the level 4 times the 4 HP of the feature. So we have the option to spend 1 charge for 8 hit points of healing, or 2 charges for that full 16 points of healing. A level 3 paladin has a number of 12, and can spend 1 charge for 6, 2 charges for 12, and level 1 with that 4 HP can spend 1 charge for 2, 2 charges for 4. Alternatively, any of these can use 2 charges to cure a creature of disease and poison. If the scaling continues on the heal, specifically the charges, a 12th level paladin may be able to pump out 48 points of healing like 3 times a day, instantly making them amongst the best healers in the game, especially if you are an Oath of the Ancients paladin for that Healing Radiance bonus action. Just yikes. When you aren't laying on hands, you'll definitely be throwing them because at 2nd level you get Divine Smite, which states, When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend one Paladin spell slot to deal an extra 2d8 radiant damage to the target, plus 1d8 for each spell level higher than first, up to 5d8, and then an extra 1d8 if the target is an undead or fiend. This is a class-defining feature that makes the Paladin an absolute problem in combat. They're typically hard to hit, hard to CC, and when they swing back, the enemy feels it. At second level, we also get a fighting style from a slightly limited list: defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, or protection. And we actually finally become a spellcaster, getting 2 first level spell slots. At level 3, we become immune to disease, an additional first level spell slot, and get multiple oath features here. Devotion gets Turn the Unholy, which frightens fiends and undead for 3 turns upon failing a wisdom save, and Sacred Weapon, which adds your charisma modifier to the damage of your main weapon attacks. Aside these abilities, you also have Protection from Evil and Good, and Sanctuary spells always prepared. Oath of the Ancients also gets Turn the Unholy, and an ability called Nature's Wrath that, as an action, and with a failed strength save, restrains an enemy for up to 10 turns. The spells they get are Speak with Animals and Ensnaring Strike. Oathbreaker receives Control Undead, which, if the undead target is a lower level than you and fails a wisdom save, will allow you to take control of the creature until a long rest. You don't really take it over, it more just fights on your side, and if it was to, say, be summoned by someone else and you defeat that person, your controlled undead will go away too. Oathbreakers also get the Dreadful Aspect ability, a 15-foot radius pulse to frighten enemies for up to 10 turns upon failing a wisdom save, and the spells they receive are Hellish Rebuke and Inflict Wounds. Strong stuff. Oath of Vengeance pretty likely gets what is near to its 5th edition Player's Handbook feature, but I'll refrain from speculating. Level 4, finally get an ability score improvement. Feels like I've been talking forever and we're only here. With this, if you're staying single class, think you would likely pump Strength up to 18. If you have an eye on multiclassing, potentially Charisma at 18. But of course, have to keep an eye on feats as well, where Warcaster will be super popular, allowing you to have advantage on concentration checks and cast a spell as an opportunity attack. Something else to look out for maybe is a Great Weapon Mastery if you're trying to just absolutely destroy at low level. Level 5, we get a much desired extra attack and second level spells, actually doubling our total spell slots from 3 to 6 in just one level. And at level 6, we get Aura of Protection, which allows allies within 10 feet of you to get a bonus to their saving throws equal to your Charisma modifier. With 16 Charisma at this level, it's kind of like having expertise in literally every saving throw. Your very nearby allies will adore you. Halfway through, and many more people will start looking to multi-class, but we're going to push forward to see what else we get. Level 7, there isn't a lot of reason to suspect that there will be much change from what's in 5e for the Oath features at this level. They are generally quite simple, so I'll list them quickly. Keep in mind, each of the auras I will list only extend 10 feet, which is around to 3 meters, and work while you are conscious. Devotion gets Creatures Cannot Be Charmed, Ancients Resistance to Spell Damage, Vengeance, which may be changed. It sounds kind of complicated, but isn't. When you hit an opponent with an opportunity attack, you can move up to half your movement speed as part of the same reaction, and that movement does not provoke opportunity attacks. I do think that'll change. Oathbreaker grants melee weapon damage bonus equal to your Charisma modifier, importantly limited to only being able to receive this from one paladin at a time. No super death ball of paladins, at least not more than you already would be with that combination. And from here on out, there's not as much that we receive, so I'll speed up this very slow information-heavy video. Level 8 is another ASI, either getting our first 20 stat or boosting another to 18. Level 9, we finally get 3rd level spells, and each oath receives 2 more always prepared spells. They may be different in the game, so I won't list each here. Level 10, you receive another aura, this time Cannot Be Frightened within 10 feet of you. At level 11, Improved Divine Smite, so we get a little mini Divine Smite on every attack, dealing 1d8 radiant with your melee weapon hits, and getting to add that on top if you do decide to Divine Smite. And lastly, level 12, your 3rd ASI, definitely getting a 20 now. Well, probably anyway. Anyhow, that's what you get if you stay in the Paladin single class the entire way. Get a lot of features early on, which is why it's such a popular multi-class choice, and I do want to discuss some of those now. I actually included the basics for some of the most popular combos in my couple of multi-classing videos, but since this is a Paladin video, I want to only mention multi-classing where Paladin is at least half the levels. Starting with Paladin 6, Bard 6. It's one of the best at doing it all, not weak in like any facet of the game. With Ancients, you can get out a ridiculous amount of healing. Lore Bard can make it so that you actually get the higher level smite spells. Taking your last level in Bard will make you a 9th level caster when you get the Magical Secrets feature, allowing you to be able to take the 4th and 5th level smites. You are the face with excellent skill coverage and an absolute unit on the battlefield, making every other character's job easier. It's ridiculous. There's always Paladin 6 Sorcerer 6, and is more popular on tabletop due to the limitation of only casting 1 leveled spell per turn. This is technically not true of the wording, and you can action surge 2 spells out because one of them is not a bonus action. I'm forced to qualify that even though it's not relevant to this combination. But the multiclass is still powerful. The blasting power of a sorcerer, flexibility of quickening a spell to still be able to get your weapon attacks off, or just create slots for more smites. Packing so much into those early paladin levels really lets you shine as anything you wish to be and is not to be underrated. And I have one more combination you'll hear about soon. So, how would I level a paladin? Well, thank you for asking. I would either play them straight to 6, not messing around with the usual early pit stops for multiclass, go Vengeance or Oathbreaker for damage, or Ancients for those incredibly sweet heals, or something different. The first 5 levels of Barbarian. Level 1 Rage, level 2 Reckless Attack, level 3 Berserker, level 4 Great Weapon Master, and then you could either switch off to Paladin at 5, like a full respec, go Paladin 1 through 5, or get this last level of Barb before starting to take Paladin levels and then doing the swap at level 8. So you'd be 5 Barb, 2 Paladin, and then switch to Paladin 5, Barb 3. Waiting all the way till 10 to get the saving throw aura will feel bad though, and might make me lean towards that Paladin early switch. But we would do this style because Barbarian does a better job of doing damage while being harder to down for the first few levels. They just aren't a good face. So when Barb begins to feel less juicy, Paladin's already fully cooking, and we go from those 3 to 6 spell slots at level 5. It's just such a big thing when you don't want to constantly long rest. So like I said, if we're not going to just white knuckle our way through those early levels of Paladin and wanted a straightforward damage choice, Paladin 8, Barb 4 goes hard. Otherwise, probably work my way into one of those 6-6 splits from before, focused more on casting and support, but of course still dropping more than my fair share of smites. And we don't eat up an ASI with Great Weapon Master when not multiclassing with Barb or Fighter either, in most cases. Definitely something to keep in mind. To start to wrap it up, I'm not sure if a Paladin is actually going to make it into my party on the first playthrough. Definitely possible. I might respec a companion to one once we're out of the early levels, or just go the Barb into Paladin route with Karlach. If the party was 5 characters, I'd have a Paladin for sure. But just me not being super gassed to play one as my custom character, they might just be on the outside looking in. Never know though, there's so much we don't know about the game, and if I feel like I just want smite after smite after smite at some point, I'm ready to rumble. Anyway, that's been enough for now, so I hope to catch you in the next one. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Be safe, guys.